Ever wondered if your favorite hit is actually a copy? Today, we are diving into the high stakes world of musical plagiarism to see how the biggest stars in the world navigate the thin line between inspiration and theft. We often hear that great artists steal, but when does a tribute turn into a multi-million-dollar lawsuit? It is astonishing how many icons have been caught in this legal web, often unintentionally. When Lana Del Rey released Get Free, Radiohead saw a mirror image of their iconic hit, Creep. This sparked a public spat over publishing royalties that eventually ended in a quiet, undisclosed settlement between the artists. Here is the twist. Radiohead themselves had to pay up for Creep years earlier. They eventually credited the original 1972 songwriters after a legal challenge proved their melody was borrowed from a song called The Air That I Breathe. Ed Sheeran wanted an R&B vibe for Shape of You, so he intentionally used a TLC melody. However, since the negotiations weren't finished by the release date, he had to add the original writers as co-authors later to settle the score. Sometimes, theft is totally accidental. The Rolling Stones did not realize their course matched a K.D. Lang hit until Keith Richards' daughter pointed it out while listening to the record. They quickly gave her credit to avoid a messy legal battle. Madonna's track Erotica featured a sacred religious vocal without permission. This oversight cost her $2.5 million in a lawsuit and resulted in her entire album being banned in Lebanon due to the lyrical content. Vanilla Ice initially denied sampling under pressure, but that iconic bass line was unmistakable. After facing serious legal threats, he finally paid financial recompense and added the legendary rock stars as official co-songwriters. So, just how much can you take before it is considered theft? For the band Oasis, borrowing only 8 notes of a melody was enough to trigger a lawsuit. They ended up sharing songwriting credits with Neil Innes to resolve the claim. Dua Lipa faced 2 separate lawsuits for her hit Levitating. However, her legal team successfully argued that she had never even heard the song she was accused of copying, proving that sometimes great musical minds just think alike. Kanye West actually asked for permission to use a Hungarian rock sample in New Slaves, and even paid a deposit. But because the final check was never cashed and the deal wasn't closed, he faced a lawsuit that ended in a settlement. Coldplay's Viva la Vida was a magnet for accusations from multiple artists. However, a music professor eventually showed that the melody's structure actually dated back to a 1736 composition. Since that music is in the public domain, the modern claims lost their legal standing. To stay original in your own work, never rely on just one source. By looking at different perspectives, you can form your own unique synthesis instead of just retelling someone else's ideas. Your biggest asset is your own perspective. When you add your personal touch and unique experiences, your work becomes something that literally no one else could have created, making it truly original. Honesty is the best policy when it comes to creativity. It is perfectly okay to use other people's ideas as long as you give them credit. Using citation tools early on saves you from accidental plagiarism later. AI is a great tool for brainstorming if you are stuck, but it should not do the writing for you. Use it for a little push of inspiration, but always verify the facts and put the final words in your own voice. In a world full of shared melodies and ideas, your unique voice is what truly matters. By staying honest and using the right tools, you can create work that is both inspired and entirely your own. Happy creating!